Welcome back, deep divers. Ready for another fascinating journey through history?
Always.
Today, we're diving into the work of a true historical giant, Will Durant, and specifically his ambitious project, The Story of Civilization.
Durant, a legend.
To grasp the sheer scale of his vision, we're starting with the preface to his first volume, Our Oriental Heritage.
A fitting starting point.
So what exactly was Durant trying to achieve with this massive undertaking?
Well, he wasn't content with simply writing another history book.
I can imagine.
Durant set out to create a multi-volume history of, well, everything.
Everything.
Inventions, economics, politics, art, philosophy, you name it. He wanted to cover it.
That's incredibly ambitious. So how did he plan on connecting all those seemingly disparate aspects of human experience? I mean, how do you tie together, say, the development of agriculture with the rise of philosophical thought?
That's where his synthetic approach to history comes in.
Synthetic approach.
Instead of examining historical events in isolation, he wanted to weave them together to demonstrate how various elements of human life influence and shape each other.
So, for example, he might connect the development of writing systems in Mesopotamia.
Exactly. To the rise of complex bureaucracies and the spread of knowledge across vast empires.
I see. It's like he's creating a massive tapestry of human civilization.
Precisely.
Where each thread represents a different facet of our collective story. But tackling such an enormous project, he must have recognized the immense challenge.
Absolutely. He even humorously refers to himself as a tragic target for criticism, the sheer presumptuousness of his task.
I can relate to that feeling of being overwhelmed by the sheer volume of information, even with all the resources we have today.
Oh, absolutely. And that's what makes Durant's work so remarkable, even today. He recognized this challenge nearly a century ago.
And still set out to create this coherent narrative.
From this almost endless sea of information.
Now, here's a question that immediately struck me. Why choose to begin with the East? Most Western history books, they tend to focus on ancient Greece or Rome as their starting points.
That's a great question. And Durant tackles it head-on in his preface.
Oh, does he?
He argues that focusing solely on Western civilization is a form of provincialism.
Interesting.
And he emphasizes that Western civilization itself is built upon foundations laid in the East.
So he's challenging that traditional Western-centric narrative of history.
Precisely. He's making a statement about the interconnectedness of cultures. He even highlights how many inventions and ideas we often associate with the West.
Really?
Actually originated in the East. And this is especially relevant today, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely.
As we see the rise of Asia on the global stage.
It's like Durant's work from almost a century ago speaks directly to the realities of the 21st century.
It really does.
But how did he even approach such a monumental task? I mean, did he spend years just holed up in some library?
Well, years of study were definitely involved, but Durant didn't solely rely on books.
So what else then?
He and his wife, Ariel, they traveled extensively, immersing themselves in different cultures. Can you picture them?
Oh, wow.
Exploring ancient ruins, discussing historical texts, absorbing the atmosphere of these places they visited.
Dedicated to experiencing history firsthand.
Exactly. And to ensure accuracy, he also consulted with numerous experts in various fields. But what I find truly inspiring is his humility.
In what way?
He acknowledged that the book would never truly be finished, if he waited for absolute perfection.
That's a powerful insight. I think sometimes we get so caught up in striving for perfection that we never actually complete anything.
It's so true.
Durant's approach, it suggests embracing that ongoing process of learning and discovery.
Absolutely. And that's what makes the story of civilization so enduring. It's not just a dry recitation of facts, a reflection of Durant's own intellectual journey, his passion for understanding humanity in all its complexities. He was really living history, not just reading about it.
Exactly. And that passion, it definitely comes through in his writing. It makes it feel so much more engaging,
Sure.
Less like a textbook and more like, I don't know, a conversation with a really brilliant, curious friend.
That's a great way to put it.
Now let's circle back to Durant's decision to start with, Our Oriental Heritage. It feels almost radical, especially for his time. What were some of the specific reasons he gave for taking that approach?
Well, he was adamant, absolutely adamant, that Western civilization owes a huge debt to the East.
A huge debt, huh?
He even goes so far as to call Western-centric histories provincial.
Wow. He didn't hold back.
No, he didn't. He wanted to highlight how so many inventions and ideas that we just take for granted in the West actually have their roots in the East.
So it's not just about acknowledging the East, it's about understanding how interconnected human history really is.
Exactly. It challenges the notion of a single dominant narrative.
And think about how relevant that is today, right?
Absolutely.
The 21st century, it's all about global interaction. Recognizing the shared origins of our cultures, it can help foster greater understanding and collaboration.
I couldn't agree more.
Okay, so Durant clearly felt strongly about these contributions from the East. But did he get into specifics? Like, why did he choose to focus on India, China, and Japan in this first volume?
He did. He saw these civilizations as representing the vastness and depth of Eastern culture, each with its own unique gifts to the world.
Gifts, that's a great way to think about it.
For example, he highlights India's philosophical and religious traditions.
Right.
Then there's China's incredible advances in government and technology.
And what about Japan?
He focuses on Japan's remarkable artistic achievements.
It's almost like he's presenting this buffet of cultural achievements, showcasing the East's incredible diversity and ingenuity.
It really is. Durant was challenging that stereotypical Western view of the East as being static or unchanging.
Which it definitely wasn't, right?
No, not at all. He emphasizes its dynamic evolution over centuries, showing how these civilizations interacted with each other and contributed to this broader tapestry of human history.
So fascinating. Okay, we've talked about Durant's vision, his reasons for starting with the East, and even his adventurous approach to research. But I'm curious about the actual writing process. How did he and Ariel even begin to tackle a project of this magnitude?
Well, their collaboration was key. Ariel wasn't just a research assistant. She was a full partner in the writing and editing.
That's amazing.
They both firmly believed that history should be accessible and engaging, not just dry and academic.
A husband and wife team taking on this epic project, it just adds another layer of human connection to the whole endeavor.
It does. You can truly feel their shared passion in the writing.
Absolutely. So we've delved into the why and the how of Durant's project. Now let's talk about the content itself. What are some of the key takeaways from this first volume?
Well, our Oriental Heritage covers an immense span of history, starting with ancient Egypt and Mesopotamia and going all the way to the rise of civilizations in India, China, and Japan.
Wow. That's a lot to cover.
It is. Durant explores the development of everything: religion, philosophy, art, science, government in these cultures. He really highlights their unique contributions.
Okay, that's a lot to unpack.
Yep.
Can you give us some specific examples of those Eastern contributions that Durant highlights?
Oh, absolutely. He spends a good amount of time diving deep into the development of writing systems in Mesopotamia and Egypt.
Makes sense. That's huge.
Then there's the incredibly sophisticated urban planning of the Indus Valley civilization.
I've always been fascinated by that.
And, of course, we can't forget the profound philosophical insights of Hinduism and Buddhism from India.
Oh, right.
And don't forget all of the advancements in astronomy and mathematics coming out of China. He covers a truly mind-boggling range of topics.
It sounds like he's really trying to paint a complete picture of the East.
He is.
Showcasing its diversity and complexity, not just focusing on a few, well-known achievements.
Exactly. He wants to challenge those simple views of the East that are often presented in Western narratives.
Right, right.
He doesn't shy away from complexities or contradictions.
They'll like that.
He shows how these civilizations wrestled with philosophical questions, political challenges, societal changes, just like civilizations in the West have.
So he's not just presenting facts, he's really trying to challenge those preconceived notions. He's offering a whole new perspective on history.
Exactly. He's encouraging us to re-examine our assumptions.
This is all so fascinating, but I have to ask, how does Durant connect all of this ancient history, all these events, to our lives today?
Right.
Why should we care about what happened in the East thousands of years ago?
That's a great question, and it's one that Durant anticipates and answers directly.
Okay.
He argues that understanding Eastern history is absolutely essential for understanding our own civilization, no matter where we come from.
Ah, I see.
He demonstrates how so many of the ideas, inventions, and institutions that we simply take for granted in the modern world have roots in the East.
So he's making the case that history is not just about the past.
Exactly.
It's about understanding the present and shaping the future.
Precisely. And in a world that's becoming increasingly interconnected, that understanding is more important than ever.
It's becoming really clear why Durant's work has resonated with so many people for so long. He manages to connect the dots between ancient history and modern life in such an insightful and engaging way.
He really does. He's a master storyteller.
He
He
is.
weaves together all this complex information and these ideas in a way that makes them accessible and thought-provoking for a wide audience.
It sounds like Durant achieved something truly special with The Story of Civilization. He took a massive, daunting topic and made it both informative and inspiring.
He absolutely did. His work reminds us that history is not just a collection of dry facts and dates.
Yeah.
It's a story of human achievement, creativity, and resilience. And it's a story that's far more interconnected than we often realize.
And a story that, as Durant shows us, is deeply interconnected across cultures and continents, with no single civilization holding a monopoly on innovation or progress.
Exactly. By understanding this interconnectedness, we can gain a deeper appreciation for our shared human heritage and our place in this grand narrative of civilization.
This deep dive into Durant's work has been incredibly eye-opening. It's given me a whole new way of looking at history and understanding the world around me.
That's wonderful to hear. That's the power of Durant's writing. He encourages us to question our assumptions, to delve deeper into the past, and to truly appreciate that incredible interconnectedness of human civilization.
Before we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I have one more question. Durant mentions a few specific inventions or ideas from the East that had a particularly significant impact on Western civilization. Can you share some examples?
I'd love to, but I think it would be more impactful if we saved that list for the conclusion. It's worth savoring those specific contributions and really contemplating their lasting impact on our world.
You're right. It's like we're building anticipation for the grand finale. I can't wait to hear more. Okay, the moment we've been waiting for. Let's unlock that treasure chest. What are those specific inventions and ideas from the East that Durant highlights? You know, the ones that had a major impact on Western civilization?
Get ready for some serious, mind-blowing revelations.
Hit me with it.
Durant points to innovations like, well, paper and printing.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
They originated in China. Imagine our world without them.
It's almost impossible.
Right. The way we communicate, share knowledge, even just the way we think.
Totally different.
Radically different. And to think, they were developed centuries before Gutenberg and that whole printing press revolution in Europe.
Absolutely incredible. What else did Durant uncover?
He talks about the concept of zero.
Oh, of course.
Developed in India.
Right.
Such a fundamental concept today.
I know.
It's practically impossible to imagine math or science without it.
You're right. We totally take it for granted. It makes you wonder, what other seemingly simple ideas have shaped the course of history? What are we missing?
It really does. Durant also discusses the magnetic compass.
Oh, yeah, the compass.
Another invention from China.
Huh.
Exploration and global trade as we know it.
Forget about it.
It would have been virtually impossible.
And speaking of things that changed the world, what about gunpowder?
Oh, absolutely.
Another one with roots in the East.
Completely altered warfare, shifted the balance of power.
It's kind of mind-blowing to consider how these inventions developed so long ago in a completely different part of the world still have such a huge impact on our lives today.
I know. It's incredible.
It really drives home Durant's point about the interconnectedness of human civilization, doesn't it? It's not this linear progression.
Yep.
It's this complex web of interactions and influences that go beyond time and geography.
It really is. Every civilization, every culture has contributed something unique and valuable to the world.
Durant's argument really resonates, you know. Understanding these connections, understanding these threads is essential for understanding who we are and where we came from.
It really is.
This whole deep dive into Durant's work has been seriously eye-opening.
That's great to hear.
It's given me a whole new perspective on history, on how I see the world.
That's the power of Durant. He invites us to, question our assumptions, dig deeper into the past, and truly appreciate this incredible tapestry of human civilization.
As we wrap up this deep dive, what final thought would you leave our listeners with?
Durant's focus here is on how the East contributed to Western civilization.
Right.
But I think it begs a bigger question. What other hidden influences have shaped our world?
Interesting.
What stories are we missing? What connections are still waiting out there to be discovered?
It's a great point. We should all keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep expanding our understanding of history and our place within it. Well, this has been a fantastic discussion. A huge thank you to you for sharing your insights on Will Durant and the story of civilization.
My pleasure. It's always a joy to discuss Durant's work.
And to all our listeners out there, we encourage you to check out Durant's work for yourselves. It truly is a deep dive full of surprises and insights. Until next time, fellow deep divers, keep exploring.